Shalom, Jah people. Here to speak to you once again. I am embarked upon my community to empower those who are into unity. So I have some things I need to make people aware of, and I know some people are not deep into the sciences of what I do every single day, and there's all this research studies on how our bodies and our physiology actually works. So I found some things, and I found it a couple of years ago, and I've had it on this list of my projected foods to eat and to consume. So I want you to look at things as an analogy. It's easier to teach that way, to tell a story. Say you're in a car and you're riding along, you got your oxygen, you got your iron, and your car made of iron, and all of a sudden you see in your rearview mirror, you see some blue lights. So what happens when the blue lights come on? It stops you from moving. It stops you from doing whatever you was going to do before, the blue lights came on. So what happens when the blue lights turn on in your body? When everything shuts down the same exact way. You're not going to receive oxygen in certain levels. The heme is not going to be able to produce light anymore. So therefore it's turning blue. Blue lights are turned on in your body and it's not receiving oxygen. So that means there's low oxygen. And what carries oxygen around in our body into our lungs and gives off carbon dioxide? That's called hemoglobin. And heme has an important factor, an important property to know, that it emits a light. Now every element in this universe has this spectroscopic emission. So every element inside of our body, whether they're doing an MRI scan, which is a magnetic resonance imaging scan, that it displays different hot areas of different places that does not have oxygen. So these places in the liver that handles our detoxification are not receiving certain levels of oxygen. It's becoming very low. So what I want to talk about is this specific fruit, raw fruit, whether you juice it or not. It has a bioflavonoid in it, and that bioflavonoid is called naringenin. Naringenin kind of affects certain metabolic pathways in our detoxification phase 1 of our liver. Now when you hear the word detoxification, that's something I've been doing for the past 4 years, letting people know on how to properly detoxify. Now in phase 1, which some people inhibit, they have these inhibitory effects by eating certain foods. Just like when people swallow certain medications or prescriptions, they have an effect on their detoxification pathways. Now this pathway, 90% of this pathway involves the metabolism of bad fats, bad neurotransmitters, bad hormones. So these are like toxins, and you need to be able to renew. Now, if we get too many hormones, then we become emotionally imbalanced. If we get too many neurotransmitters, we become maybe an overload of dopamine, may make us schizophrenic, or too little of something will make us depression, or too much of something become too anxious or anxiety. These are the things that when you go to the doctor, they actually diagnose you with certain ailments like that and put you on these type of medications. So I'm gonna go over all of this and how to get rid of these chemicals that like to hide in fatty tissues. Now I said the bad fats has to be detoxified, which are lipids, and neurotransmitters, which are proteins. They have to be detoxified also, because you don't want to have bad GABA, bad serotonin, bad dopamine, bad hormones like estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. You want to be able to get rid of those bad chemicals, because we got 100 trillion cells that has to go through these metabolic pathways. And in that metabolic pathway, there is a cleansing system called hydroxylation. Hydroxylation is just the breakdown with water. In phase 1, there's a family of these enzymes called, when there's low oxygen levels, just like I just talked about when the blue lights come on, those blue lights are actually called cytochrome P450. This is pathway of 450 nanometers that this light spectrum from the MRI scan shows that the blue lights are on. So this is where you're not getting any oxygen. So naringenin has these inhibitory effects on cytochrome P450. I've stated that before on previous posts on Facebook, trying to tell people that it impairs this pathway. So this occurs only because there's low oxygen, and naringenin gives off this for a period of 24 hours. But in 24 hours it can go away. But say for instance you use birth control. Birth control has estrogen, and we know we need to get rid of hormones. We need to get rid of certain pathways. So say this is a birth control pill. She might want to drink some vodka and grapefruit juice at night, and then in the morning she takes her birth control pill. She's going to interfere with the breakdown of that drug. So I'm going to demonstrate with this little GI system to show you as it goes down. Now, through the esophagus, this pill travels down into the stomach, then down into the duodenum, and then down into our small intestines. And in our small intestines, it's supposed to dissolve. It's supposed to dissolve and allow the microvilli to absorb the pill, the estrogens and the progesterones, whatever week that she's on. But if she drinks this, it doesn't allow the dissolving to actually take place and the absorption to actually take place. It actually will allow more circulation of that drug in the body. So she becomes estrogen dominant. She becomes, may gain weight. And this extra estrogen, estradiol for that matter, likes to hide in fatty tissues. So fatty tissues like your breast tissues. So we know what happens when you become overstimulated with estrogen in your breast tissues, you get breast cancer. So this is how birth control can give you that level of breast cancer. But drinking this makes the estrogen circulate more because you're inhibiting phase 1 of the liver detoxification. Now, it also it brings the highest concentration of your plasma proteins. It messes up their transporter system. So it does not allow the absorption of the drugs and makes them less effective. Now certain drugs, there's over 85 different drugs that grapefruit has a warning label on. For some doctors, they may not even know about this yet. This is a process of liver detoxification. Now also, grapefruit juice suppresses the enzyme that clears the toxins. Now you can drink 1 or 2 glasses of grapefruit juice, and it can really change the effect on how you get rid of toxins, how you get rid of your medications, and if you want to stay drunk longer, because that's that pathway that continues to inhibit the cytochrome 450. It does not allow things to do what they're normally supposed to do. So, as we know, it suppresses the enzymes to clear the toxins. So it makes it a higher risk for all those toxins to keep circulating. So what it ends up doing is that when the liver is overburdened, it flows back through, these toxins have to flow back through this gallbladder and into the duodenum, into the intestines, and then into our colon, where it gets reabsorbed again. Now, it's about 80% of the time that this will happen. So, for all of our health advocates out there, they should know, there's a lot of myths that say, grapefruit can help you lose weight. That is true, but so as any other fruit. If you want to eat apples to lose weight, you can lose weight with apples. If you want to lose oranges, you can use oranges. You can use a whole lot of different fruit to lose weight, but then you don't want to keep circulating toxins by inhibiting this pathway. So that is the grapefruit metabolism. So I thank you guys for listening. There'll be more to come. God bless.